Hi, welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to talk about hip stability. Hip functionality can get a bit more complicated as one ages, making it important to understand more about what's really going on in there. As one of the largest and most dynamic joints in the body, the hip is designed to both stabilize and mobilize the lower extremity, a challenging set of expectations because generally, stable things aren't very mobile and mobile things are not very stable. The hip musculature is capable of generating large amounts of torque used for explosive athletic movements. Additionally, the hips are the key to trunk and core stability. To be simplistic, our trunk sits on top of our hips. Thus, if our hips are weak, we won't be able to achieve core stability no matter how much core strengthening we do, because the foundation on which our core sits is weak. Moreover, we need to ensure that our hips are not only strong, but stable. Well, a great analogy in regards to hip stability is that a house on the cliffs. You can build the biggest and the most glorious house, that is your six-pack, on the cliffs, overlooking the ocean. But if the foundation, that is your hips, upon which this mansion sits are weak, the house will ultimately collapse. This is why our hips need to be strong and stable, so we have a solid foundation from which to move. The hip joint is not only very stable naturally, but also very mobile, as it is a ball and socket joint that moves in all three planes of motion. Therefore, when we work on hip stability, we need to stabilize in each of those different planes of motion. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you the best corrective exercises to improve your hip stability, as well as a more in-depth look at what the hips are made of, the causes and symptoms of dysfunction, and the ways to restore hip health. If you like this video and find this useful, please click the like button. Please leave your comments below and share this video. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of my future weekly video release. Please also subscribe to this channel. This is completely free of charge, but will help the channel to grow. Thank you. Each muscle of the hip has a different responsibility in the continuum of stability and mobility. Some are primary stabilizers, some are primary mobilizers, and some are expected to do both. The more prominent muscles of the hips include the gluteus minimus, medius, and maximus. We also have the hip adductors and the hip flexors, hamstrings, and quadriceps. Other additional structures that play vital roles in overall hip functions are ligaments and cartilage, also known as passive structures. They work behind the scenes to cushion and support every movement, much like shock absorbers on a vehicle. When the structure of the hips are in optimal condition, it is safe to assume that the balance between stability and mobility is near perfect. However, this is rarely true. Structural damage and imbalance in the hips can have many causes, from genetic abnormality to severe traumas. But the most common cause are lifestyle and habits, such as postural problems and prolonged sitting. However, too much movement throughout the day can just be as damaging to the hips as too much idleness. Someone who is on the feet all day puts loads of pressure on the joints, which can cause inflammation and degeneration, whereas someone who sits most often is likely to suffer from weakness and damaging compression. Similarly, habits like slouching or carrying a heavy load can also damage the structures of the hip. No matter the cause, when the hips are compromised and therefore the balance between mobility and stability, adverse symptoms usually follow. Aches, pains, and tightness in the hips and groin are some of the more obvious symptoms. However, hip impairment is also known to manifest in places like the knees, lower back, and even feet. Additionally, more serious and painful conditions like arthritis, bursitis, and tendinitis can develop over time if the hips are not addressed. Given the complexity and connectivity of the hips, knowing what is impaired and what to treat can be tricky. Sometimes the symptoms are a direct indicator of the problem, but other times, as mentioned above, pain in one joint can be caused by impairment in another. For this simple reason, it is important to consult with a physician or physiotherapist at the onset of symptoms in the hips or peripheral joints. Identifying the problem early and treating the source is the best and quickest way to promote healing and the restoration of stability and mobility. However, it is pretty safe to address the everyday aches and pains with low-impact strength moves and gentle stretching. Another great way to promote healing in the hips is to simply become more aware of your postural habits and to make healthy adjustments. Over time, small changes can have big impact. Our ultimate goal in treating the hips should be to restore the balance between stability and mobility. Let's now go through some great corrective exercises to enhance your hip stability. First, lateral step down. A step down is a large component of most people's everyday life. This movement can be used as a quick and functional screen for hip stability in the frontal plane, that is from the left to right. For optimal mechanics, you want the hip, knee and ankle to be in the alignment shown with the first repetition. Compensations that are common are that one hip falls into adduction, forcing the knees to go into a knee valgus and collapse position, resulting in the knee being medial to the ankle joint. This is often due to either weak hip abductors or poor neuromuscular control at the hip. These deviations from the optimal movement pattern can lead to an increase in reliance on passive structures. Next, clamshell. If neuromuscular control wasn't the culprit of one's hip instability, I would bet that it is due to hip weakness. Clams are a great way to isolate the hip stabilizing muscles, especially the glute medius. The glute medius is more than just a hip abductor and external rotator. It is also a dynamic stabilizer used during single limb stance activities such as walking, jogging, or descending stairs. Next, alternating dynamic lunges. This is a very functional movement due to the end position, that is a half kneeling position, which is used very often when performing daily activities. It requires the hip and trunk strength as well as stability in all planes of movement. Thus, it is a very functional movement. It also requires neuromuscular control and hip and pelvis dissociation due to having to let your hip flex while minimizing pelvis and spine motion. Bosu Airplane is the perfect exercise for challenging hip stability without any ankle contribution. Bosu Airplanes can be used as an assessment test to determine if you are properly recruiting your hip stabilization musculatures during single leg movements, and can also be used as a strength and conditioning exercise to dynamically challenge your ability to control perturbation of balance using only the hip for stability. Next, hip butterflies. Here are more exercises to improve the proprioception, balance, coordination, and endurance of your hip musculatures, other than doing your standard glute bridges and hip thrusters. These exercises are designed to challenge your hips in extension or abduction, and you are likely to recruit your glute in some capacity, even if it doesn't feel like you are. Next, kneeling hip airplanes. Next, isometric kickback. Next, wall ball squat. Next, thigh hydrant kicks. Next, wall ball split squats. Last exercise, wall ball hip opener. Hip stability plays a very important role in how we move. If we do not build a proper foundation from your hips, it can lead to issues not only at the hips, but above and below the joint as well. When deciphering how to improve hip stability, be sure to work in all three planes and make a progression towards functional movements. To go from sleeping to sitting, we can thank the 27 muscles that cross the hip joint for their work. After thanking them, we should also thank your core, knees, feet, and really the rest of your movement system as they work together on a team to create movement. Perhaps the best way to thank them is by giving them what they desire: strength and power. See you in the video next week. Until then, take care. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like this video, please click the like button. Please leave your comments below and share this video. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of my future weekly video release. Please also subscribe to this channel. This is free of charge but will help the channel to grow. If you're interested in improving your health and fitness or losing weight, if you suffer from or wish to prevent back pain, please take a look at my book, which is now available from Amazon worldwide. Thank you.